Call the meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Yeah.
Here. Here.
Yeah.
Here, we do have a quorum. First, I'll announce that this meeting is being recorded by Saugus Cable Television Station. If anyone else is recording the meeting, would you please announce it at this time? Seeing none, first I apologize that we had an executive session before our regular meeting and we went a little over, so I apologize for the delay. I'm going to start the agenda with public comment. I don't see any public comment this evening. And we didn't have the special presentation for this meeting, correct? We will be having some students in at our next or the second meeting in March?
Yes.
Sometime in March?
Yes, that's my understanding.
Okay. We don't have our student representative this evening, but we do have approval of minutes. We have January 14th and 16th. Those are the two budget meetings.
Madam Chair,
Ms. Riley?
make a motion to accept the January 14th budget meeting minutes, 2014.
And the chair will second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Next is the January 16th.
Madam Chair,
Ms. Riley?
make a motion to accept the minutes on January 16, 2014 budget.
And the chair will second. Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. The next is the January 23rd regular meeting, open session minutes.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to accept the minutes on dated January 23rd on the budget hearing regular meeting, open session.
And the chair will second. Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed?
Abstain.
And one abstention by Ms. Riley. And the last set was the joint meeting with the selectmen on January 30th.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a
Meredith?
motion to accept the minutes on January 30th for the
Chair.
joint meeting.
Chair seconds. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Next, we do have voting of the warrants. Ms. Andrews, is there anything that you'd like to highlight?
No, Madam Chair, there's nothing extraordinary in the warrants.
Committee have any questions on the warrant?
Madam Chair?
You have questions? Does anyone have any questions on the warrant? Ms. Riley?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the warrants prepared by Paula Andrews, Director of Finance and Operations, in the amount of $682,823.91.
And the chair will second. Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Under our finance report, we do have the request regarding budget entry number 6. If you recall, oh no, this is the change. Ms. Andrews, do you want to go over this, or?
It remains as it was last time. I thought there was going to be further discussion on it.
Yeah, this is the one from last that we
It is.
put
There's
aside.
only one small change. One of the instructional paraprofessionals is charged to Ballard. That was incorrectly listed as veterans before.
Okay.
Other than that, there is no change.
Did the committee have any questions regarding the budget entry, and do we want to approve this at this time? If you recall, that was from a packet that was given by the superintendent.
Madam Chairman?
Mr. Grabowski?
Yeah, I'm not comfortable with voting this at this time based on the information that has been circulated about our budget status for next year. I'm not convinced that this one-time monies can't be somehow used to alleviate some possible extreme budget shortfalls come fiscal year 15. Based on the information that, the recommendation from the town manager's budget for the town and the schools. I think it would be kind of short-sighted to do something with this now and not wait again until we get more definitive answer on what our budget situation is going to be.
I think that the bulk of this, I mean, it's not personnel. I mean, these do free up monies in other regards to next year's budget. The computer hardware, in some areas that we feel that we were going to have a shortfall in elementary substitutes in this fiscal year. And the coaches, that was, I mean, those are addressing issues that we know are going to be a problem at the end of the year.
Well, the coaches one is just a placeholder for a report that's coming later on this evening.
Which is, do you want to table this to that time, or do you want to take the other out of order so we can discuss it all together? I mean, how does the committee feel we want to?
And I don't think the van lease for $15,000 for an account to be set up is a valid situation at this point in time. That hasn't even been vetted, and we are
Has the transportation subcommittee met yet?
not yet. We had enough trouble trying to get the time and place for the athletic subcommittee over the storms and stuff the last couple of weeks. We had several, probably had 5 meetings scheduled, and we finally got to have 2 out of those 5.
Okay, we already approved the Chromebooks, correct? I mean, that's not,
The only thing I think that was officially approved was the curriculum.
Right.
That's correct.
that's right.
So you'll see that on the budget entry, I believe, that amount has been deducted.
Yeah, 28,651.
For
Right.
consumables.
Well, how does the committee feel if, do you want to not approve some, I mean, you don't have to approve the whole thing if that's the way the committee feels, but I want to hear from the committee to see, you know, what do we support in this, or?
Madam Chair, I agree with you as far as whether we use this now or push it to FY15, it's going to be the same thing. We're going to need the money, and we're going to need the things that are on this list anyways. Most of them look like they're supplies. Elementary substitutes, that's a necessary. So most of the things on here, and with the van, I can table the van, I understand that, but everything else seems to be unnecessary.
I agree, and especially the aids the paraprofessional in the special education area,
Mhm.
which we knew, we have to hire them. We need the additional bodies there.
My problem is, if you do that with this appropriation, and the funding doesn't come through to even meet our contractual obligations for next year, are these sustainable situations?
Well, the paraprofessionals, they're as a as-needed basis. It depends on what we need for next year, and that's what is in the proposed budget going forward, are these extra positions. If they're not funded and we still need them, I'll tell you the truth, special education tends to get the priority. If we need the paraprofessionals in there, they're most likely going to be sustained. The ETL is also budgeted for next year, which was also an important position because of the amount of students on IEPs. So, I mean, either way, that's the most of the time, I mean, they get the priority because you need to have them in place.
I realize that, but if we're looking at, I have it here somewhere, contractual obligations, the first item in the proposed budget, being, I forget what the amount was, $700,000, $800,000? And we get 350 or 4 even?
And
We're in a serious bind as to what we do then, because we're short just for contractual obligations. You're gonna have to find that money somewhere else. And unfortunately, with 80% of the budget taken up with personnel, makes it a pretty difficult balancing act.
it is very difficult, and we seem to go through this just about every year. And as you know, for the most part, all the non-essential is cut out of the budget, and if monies become available, then we purchase them, and that's why consumables were cut every year. This is now prepaid, so we won't have to so much worry about that right now and hope money becomes available in the future.
You have to take advantage of the significant savings as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And hopefully we can do that next year and have the savings as well.
Yeah. So far, it's been every year. They've been looking at getting the discounted price. Yeah, savings the money. Yeah, saving money.
And I know last year we had the opportunity that we had some money and we bought school supplies that, regular classroom supplies that we didn't buy for a couple of years. And then the supply depletes, you have to. So, that's usually one of the first things cut. And if monies become available, you can buy it later in the year. But, if you feel that, like, just the priorities come out and the not approve the van lease or the, and I know that was to put aside to set up as we started the process. Of course, it hasn't started yet, so.
What's that? And what was the other thing on there?
The
Madam Chair?
library books and supplies, I don't know. We haven't funded library books and supplies for a while. That seems to get cut from the budget, like I said. We wait to see if money becomes available.
Mhm.
So it was nice to gesture to, put some money forward for those.
Mhm.
But guidance,
The 3,000 for the veterans school, for library books and supplies. They have a birthday book club. They always bought all the books with their PTO money.
right,
PTO had the birthday book club.
most of the elementary schools do that. I know when I was elementary PTO, we did as well. But
Mhm.
also the school district used to give $300 per library at that time. And over the years, in the budgets, there hasn't been any money given. So it's more, I know they were going to the, what's the name of the digital system? On the computer? We just,
Oh, yeah, yeah, I know exactly what you're saying, I can't think of the
For the
name
books,
either.
you mean?
Yeah.
To scan the
For the
books?
library.
Yeah. I
so,
can't think
of
so
the
name
part,
of it right now.
part of it, it's a part of the monies that they had was going toward implementing that.
Right,
So-
but that's all done, correct?
Mhm.
So, don't need additional money for that, because it's all done.
I don't think a librarian will tell you that.
Do they have a librarian at the Vets?
They're all
Yeah.
volunteer.
Yeah, because they always ran, parents always ran that library.
That's right. All elementary libraries are run by
Mm-hmm.
volunteers. And I know we were looking into a partnership with the public library in hopes that they could have some kind of a collaboration with them in the elementary, but that hasn't happened yet.
So, do you want to vote on taking certain items, tabling certain items?
I'd
or-
like to hold off on everything until the picture becomes clear as to what our budget situation's gonna be. The money is still there, the money is not going anywhere, it's still there.
But I feel very strongly, we're already in February, and the teacher aides, I really, myself, am prioritizing the teacher aides, the ETL, and the adjustment counselor. I know we need money in elementary substitutes, so, you know, it would be nice to put the security in that, but that's a small amount anyway. So if we're looking to pocket some money, we can certainly put that away and possibly revisit it at a later time. But I feel strongly that we're already in February and we need those positions.
Madam Chair, we're just looking at it right now, and I would, from our perspective, I completely agree with your summary of that. If we had to prioritize, I think at this time, in deference to Mr. Grabowski's perspective on that, because it is a grim picture so far, I think we would, the adjustment counselor, the coaches, also the three special ed positions which we need for compliance. Those are, to me, those are non-negotiable. In the substitute situation as well, which we're already, it's already out of the barn almost, that we're on the hook for that. Everything else, and I'm just eyeballing it to the tune of about 130,000. I think we should wait on and wait to see we have a firmer picture, and also keeping in mind that we could always prepay
Right.
tuitions, and I agree. I would rather, it's a precarious time. I'd rather be more conservative with that, and I think it's a good point made.
Well, the 30,000 for the coaches, I mean, we'll be discussing that with the athletic subcommittee. That's possibly not where the 30,000 is gonna go.
Well, that's just the title. It's
Okay.
it's
Yeah,
not,
I'm just looking at that
Yeah.
list now as you were looking at it.
that doesn't mean it's going toward coaches,
Right.
no.
Like I said, it's just a placeholder for the
Yeah.
30,000.
So does the committee feel,
Do you want to crunch those numbers, Paula, and
Want me to-
re-vote?
Absolutely.
Do it right
we
now.
can do them individually, or,
You think this is- Yeah.
I'll get you one. Hold your horses.
95?
Around anyway.
That would come out to 105,000 of the remaining balance.
Okay.
Thank you.
And you'll draw up a new budget entry 6 for that, for us?
It would be budget entry number 9.
What happens to 6?
Flips upside
Turn
down.
it upside down.
Would not approve it.
Not yet.
No, I mean, we would not approve 6 and then approve 9, right?
Make a motion to disregard.
So you're relabeling it budget entry number 9?
Yeah.
What happens to budget entry number 6?
Number 6 will remain. Do you want to make this number 6? We can make it number 6.
Yeah, because that's this, we're just pulling items out of it that may come up later. Just don't want them so out of sequence that,
But would you call this the revised 6 or something to that effect, or?
The new and improved.
I don't know. You still
Well, it
call it?
would be approved
it's what we vote it to be.
Yeah, okay.
So it'll be,
With those as amended.
as amended.
well, there's going to be a new budget entry number 6 that she's drawing up.
Mm-hmm.
So if the committee comfortable with that, keep hitting that.
Yes.
You have a motion?
I'd like to Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to accept the new budget entry number 6 at 105,000. No? That's it.
Isn't that the remaining?
No.
No.
Budget entry
That's the
number
new
6,
number,
and that
105,000?
includes
No, I thought that was the remaining amount. was
95,
105.
right?
105
105,000.
Total?
total.
That's
This
what's
budget.
remaining.
This budget entry will allocate 105,000.
Yeah.
Right. Which includes the 23,
Adjustment
20.
counselor, 23,000.
Mhm.
Coaches at 30,000. The 3 instructional aides at roughly 12,000 each, and 15,000 for the elementary substitute.
Not the
Remaining
ETL.
is, it's remaining.
I thought we included the ETL
ETL?
as well.
20,000?
What's that?
Did-
You see, I included
Yeah,
the
we
ETL
don't
and I
have, we
didn't
don't have the E
include.
ETL.
Okay, so do you want to add the detail?
Yes. I want to include the ETL, and I thought that,
So that's 125.
And the coaches?
do we want to approve the coaches at this time when we don't have a proposal yet to approve?
Why don't we table that till we get to the,
Okay, you want to pull that out of budget entry 6?
Number 6, I'll print it out.
Measure 95.
And there's the 95 I had
Right.
originally.
You all, just for clarification, you wanted the coaches out of it as well?
As a,
And the
that's
ETL in?
in, right.
Okay.
Okay, so the motion was to
No.
approve,
The coaches are coming out.
95 should be.
95, I didn't get
Yep.
the substitutes.
so Ms. Meredith's motion was to approve the budget entry number 6, and that includes the adjustment, of course, adjustment counselor, ETL, the 3 teacher aides, and the elementary substitute line item at 95,000, correct?
Yes.
And I second that. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No,
Motion passes 4-1, with Mr. Grabowski voting in opposition.
My finance report.
The,
The finance report?
Just read it over.
Okay, thank you. In your packets, you will have the comparison of actual expenditures as of January 31st, 2014 to the budget. At this time, the school district has spent $12,698,323. And we remain right on target with our overall spending. In the packet, you will also see the food service sales report for the month of January. Sales are picking up a little bit, in lunch particularly. If you look at the revolving accounts, you will notice there is a deficit in food service. This is not a true deficit. The reimbursements have not been posted since September 2013, although they have been submitted. I am in communication with the food service director and the treasurer's office to see what happened, to resolve that. The grant accounts have also not all had their revenues posted. There is a true deficit in the preschool revolving account. After thorough analysis and meeting with the superintendent and the Early Childhood Center coordinator, I discovered that not all of the appropriate instruction expenses are being charged to the LEA. Tuition is to offset the cost of program staff, supplies, and materials for the typical student. Tuition is not meant to cover the special education component of the program. So in one of the entries, in budget entry number 8, you will see an allocation to preschool teachers at Ballard. Funding for this comes from continuous analysis of the budget. Now that I have the retiree listing, I could calculate the savings in early retirement incentive and sick leave buyback and allocate those funds. I was also able to allocate savings from the new copier lease this fiscal year and the X2 software lease. The final funding comes from out-of-district tuition that will be charged appropriately to Circuit Breaker. The remainder of budget entry number 8 is to align the budget with actual expenditures. The entries account for transfers in staff from one location to another. And after discussion with principals and directors, the remaining budget transfers are needed to reflect actual education expenditures in FY 2014 in order to best serve our students. Munis continues. I spent 2 days at Town Hall last week working on the chart of accounts and the general ledger. This month we will begin on accounts payable. The end-of-year report audit was completed last week. I have made the necessary amendments to the FY13 end-of-year report and submitted them to DESI, and we can look forward to receiving our McKinney Vento reimbursement sometime in late spring. That's all I had this month.
Anyone have any questions?
Madam Chairman,
Mr. Grabowski?
the preschool, the program itself, that's not a mandated program, is it?
Yes, 3.
Preschool is a mandated, or kindergarten is a mandated?
The pre is, you have to service children 3 years and up if they require certain services.
So how does that, if that's being charged to the LEA now, how does that affect the proposed budget for next year, which didn't reflect that?
Absolutely. First of all, you'll see that a portion of the funding comes from analysis of the budget. So you'll see that some of the line items are things that I've gone through and looked at. For example, the copier lease. Now that we've almost finished our cycle of replacing our copiers, I was able to get a better price. So that's certainly something I can carry over into the next year. Items like that, sick leave buyback, early retirement incentive, again, something I can calculate out and make a best guess estimate. I'm not very concerned about that as we begin to pay in full every year, as opposed to split funding, which was done in the past. I know that I've covered all my retirees this year and not carrying them into next year. The other piece of that is to understand the caseload. If there's an increase in the caseload, there's an increased cost to the LEA. And I know last year was a particularly bad year. You know, I don't know exactly what the caseload is this year, but again, you have to allocate those costs to the LEA.
But the the proposed budget for next year, that line item is underfunded compared to what you're doing now, correcting it, and it wasn't corrected when you did the budget for next year.
That's
So we
correct.
already have a deficit for next year in that line item that has to be found somewhere else.
Yes, but I'm confident that we can still find them in these line items that I've proposed to you.
But I'm talking about next year's
Yes.
budget.
Okay,
Are
for
we gonna,
example, the
are we gonna
copier
have the
lease.
same savings next year that we're having, that you're
Well, the
finding
copier
this year?
lease will go right into teachers for next year. So that's something that was in the budget already this year. Now that the copier leases have been renewed, the last of them, take that savings and move it.
The other question I had is, did we get our reimbursement from McKinney-Vento from last year yet?
Yes, of course we
It
do.
went into the transportation revolving account?
No, it does not. It goes into the McKinney-Vento revolving account at Town Hall, to which we charge expenses. And then if there's, if expenses exceed the revenue that comes in, those expenses come back against the $50,000 appropriation that's in the LEA budget.
So we don't see that 50-some-odd thousand dollars reflected in our budget for this year?
It's in there.
But we have it budgeted for.
We budgeted for McKinney-Vento, and we hold that until the end, because last year, you know, we kept saying, are we gonna use it, are we gonna use it? And I said, I wanna wait, and then we had all those cases in June.
Right.
Because we have no control over that, unfortunately, as far as our budget goes.
We didn't get
Yeah, but-
reimbursed what we actually spent because it was a year behind, so.
We're a year behind,
Yeah,
correct.
but what I'm saying is, if you look at this budget now that we have, the report, we still have $50,000 budgeted for fiscal year 14.
Yes.
And that
So
remains.
that should be 50,000 that we budgeted in our accounts, plus the 53 or 40, whatever the reimbursement should be added to that, right?
It's in a separate account, though. Everything is charged to the revolving account first. Then if the cost exceeds that, then we tap into that 50.
But this is 50 that we put into the budget.
Yes.
Doesn't account for the reimbursement.
No,
Where's the reimbursement money from
that's
last
in the
year?
McKinney-Vento revolving account with the
That
town.
we don't have, that the town has?
Right, we charge to it.
So we're always going to have a plus balance in that.
We hope,
Okay.
we hope,
Well,
If we keep
well,
getting the
last-
reimbursement,
right.
that's going to keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
And we may
also
not
have to
have to
spend it.
budget a whole 50,000. We knew that we were being reimbursed less than we were going to use in the next fiscal year, so we had to put money aside for that. In the first year, we didn't know when we were going to get the money, because remember, it was held up at the state.
Mhm.
So at some point, we may revisit that, and I'm sure the finance director will watch it closely and make that recommendation when the time comes.
So right now, our expenditures for McKinney-Vento for this school year aren't coming out of our budget. They're coming out of that money that's over in the town hall?
Yes, they're charged against that revolving account, but as of June 30th, that account must be made whole. So if there's a deficit, if there are expenses exceed the reimbursement that comes in, that those
This
expenses come back.
50,000 will go to that,
Exactly.
and then we have the next reimbursement. Because didn't you say you're waiting for the reimbursement sometime in late spring?
That's
That's
correct.
for the second year's of reimbursement.
Exactly. But that would offset this year's bills.
Okay.
The reimbursement is 1 year behind.
Yeah, we've only gotten it once. This would be
Yeah.
the second one.
Right. It's because it's actual reimbursement rather than, but that's okay. Any little bit helps. I'm happy that they actually put money forward for the reimbursement to the communities, especially ours that was impacted by it. Are there any other questions on the Finance report? Sanders, is there anything else?
Do you have anything else, Bill? Do you have anything else?
No?
Thank you.
Do you want to discuss the budget entry 8?
That is.
Okay. So does the committee have any questions on the budget entry number 8?
I have a question. In the middle of the budget, it says special education, you're decreasing the out-of-district tuition charge to circuit breaker for,
Out-of-district tuition?
yeah, for
yes.
$82,000. And yet in our budget for 15, we're increasing the out-of-district tuition by 200, under level service, we're increasing, is that the same item for 285,000? Under fixed cost,
Yes,
you have a line here about the fourth line down, increase in out-of-district tuition includes summer tuition and at an expense of $285,000.
okay. That's because the carryover going into FY15 from the circuit breaker that we are receiving this year is that difference. It's over 200,000. What we carried over, if you look at the grants page of the expenditure report, the detailed expenditure report, you'll see circuit breaker listed. We carried over 732,000 from last year. This year, we can only expect 514. So going into next fiscal year, we'll only have 514,000 available to
So-
offset tuition.
So is it prudent to decrease the out-of-district tuition charged to circuit breaker by $82,000?
You have to expend the carryover fully this year. Yes, that is the law. You have to fully expend it.
Okay.
Are there any other questions regarding budget entry number 8? As the finance director explained, these are two balance areas in the budget. Anyone have any questions on it? Do we have a motion to approve?
Madam Chair,
Ms. Riley?
make a motion to approve budget entry number 8. FY 2014. Let's see, a number.
And the chair will second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. I'm just going to pass this to be signed while we're all here. That's out of the way. So if there's nothing else under finance report, we'll go to the superintendent's report.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I have 7 items to report on, and I also have 4 items in the usual segment of going around to the schools. The first item that I want to note, and it's interesting too, you might have seen in the 2 different packets I prepared because of last week's snow day, canceling our meeting, that the first one I showed the filming of the wake-up call. This one I actually did a segment from the wake-up call at the Oakland Vale Elementary School that was on Channel 5, where the kids did a very welcoming and a spirited rendition. They represented Saugus well. I also note, and you can see on there, actually I saw it at the gym at 5:12 before the 6th. I went home and taped it on my TV, and what's striking is the 5 degrees in the lower right-hand corner. Very, very cool. All right. But they did a great job. We also are using School Spring. I have an additional job posting that is posted now. The Belmonte, in addition to the elementary art position, we have the Belmonte middle school position now, and I can't say enough about what a useful tool that is. We have, I think, over 40 resumes from a diverse pool of candidates ready for the elementary art. Two other things that I had out there, and again, we had the snow day just before Valentine's Day as well, and I visited the veteran school, and what was great to see, and I stress this point too because I don't think we hear it enough in the community, and also I want to just reiterate to the committee how impressive it was seeing after the snow day, trying to get the assessments in before vacation and all that. But the teacher in this math lesson, Miss Ridge, in her 4th grade class, used formulas for the students learning fractions of the percentage of the medals won in the Sochi Olympics, obviously connecting with the kids, something relevant, and also was very spirited. The kids, it was like they were in the Olympics, how they were competing for the answers and things like that. It really was a fantastic lesson, and as well, the next slide you see a student choosing to write a Valentine to his parents for using the letter in the ELA. I can barely just make it out, but you had to pick the letter. L is for whatever, and he wrote a caption, and right on point with the early literacy. The next point that I had in there was just explaining the capital planning process with the Collins Center. And on Thursday, the 30th, I met with representatives, as other town administrators did, as well as committee members, to meet with them, and they went through the process of what we would have to do in terms of capital planning project submissions and things like that. Immediately emailed the board and my leadership team, and we get on that the first thing on Monday. Had a meeting. We spent a lot of hours. Can't say enough positive accolades out there for how well with kind of short lead time, how thorough the vetting of that was, particularly with the maintenance folks as well. Ralph was in Ralph Matarese, again, going out, knowing intimately all the construction projects, worked well with the schools. We had everyone around the table in this room, and it was an eye-opening in terms of what we do need when you see the bottom line, but it was a thorough process. We organized the items into general categories that I submitted to the committee, and prioritize them, based on safety, on other tiers, and also Chairman Reed met with the committee as well the next week. So, and that's where we are. We submitted that, all that, and I think we'll talk about that later in the meeting as well. The follow-up had follow-up meeting with Manager Crabtree about the chargeback agreements. And we talked about that. We also talked about, kind of the grim news, as Mr. Grabowski mentioned, about what we can anticipate for funding for the budget. And again, conservatively, as town manager is very conservative, we can't count on the state monies yet. That's a couple months down the road. But we're a far cry from where we anticipated. Next, we had a lot going on. We also had an update on the SOI process for the new Saugus High School. We had joint committee meetings on the 30th as well as on the 12th of January 30th and on February 12th. We had an overwhelming, in my perspective, this was the most unifying and galvanizing experience I've had in my 7 months here, where all of the selectmen, all of the school committee members, myself, Mr. Hashem, Mr. Woods, and some town meeting members as well, were around the table talking about how we would proceed with the SOI. We had some assistance as well, and a presentation from about the master building plan, and kind of a very informative presentation by Representative, the architect that we used for the science labs. They had intimate knowledge of the building, and they were great in giving us really answering detailed questions. We have another meeting coming up in just another week or so. Excuse me, I'm just trying to focus. Also, the superintendent's Wellness Advisory Council meeting. We had to move the date. Snowstorms seemed to be plaguing the schools as well as the other community with cancellation dates. But we moved our date to April 2nd to be hosted at 6:30. We didn't want to compete with the other town meeting that's coming up with the opioid use, I believe, in just next week. Okay, but we still have all the energy of the people, Ms. Riley and Ms. Meredith, also on that committee. We had a couple other businesses show up, and it's just positive all around with that. And we also like that we have a little bit more lead time to get more people at the table to help us plan. Let's see, school calendar discussions. I had a recommendation on that we will. Do you want me to mention that in this report now, or
In your
later?
report, yeah.
Okay, so in talking to people around the district, and obviously with the with how close we were coming up into the summer with our snow days now, I looked at and submitted a proposal, the third proposal that was in the school committee packet, to start school before Labor Day. And with the expectation that we would also have time to recognize some other holidays, including potentially Good Friday and the other Jewish holidays in the fall, with the intention being and the mindset being just simply that some of those days are undersubscribed attendance days for students and for staff. And we were looking at this at the perspective, as well as the day, I think I put in there, the day before Thanksgiving, that travel day. And I submitted that to the committee as another, option to look at. The other perspective that I had from some of the other principals and my own experience in the other districts that I've worked in was that it can be a good thing to ramp up to the opening of school, where basically you have a first week where you have, say, 3 days, then maybe with the Jewish holidays, maybe a 4-day week. But you have a reserve of days in case you have a weather situation like this winter and last winter as well. And you also have, what else was it? And also for that other travel day too, for Thanksgiving. So just putting that out there. I know another school, a colleague of mine, and someone I know for many years, who is the principal of Taunton High School. Taunton this year, you might have seen it in the news, they also didn't have February vacation, a traditional February vacation. Instead, they had a long weekend. They had the President's Day Monday off anyway, and I believe they took Friday off before, so there was still ample time to get away. But they had that reserve of the other days, of this week. And one other point made in the conversations I had with particularly secondary principals is a lot of the students and the families, and with SIBS, the students are back practicing and working out for Labor Day anyway, so that there aren't a lot of vacations going on right around Labor Day due to double sessions and things like that. So just the other perspective of that, and I guess could be my bias. I think I've always worked in districts that started before Labor Day. So, but just put that out there for food for thought. Another sad item for us in Saugus is, and it has already hit the papers by now, but Jeff Bruno, our Executive Director for Curriculum and Accountability, has accepted a job as Superintendent of the Falmouth School District in Falmouth, Maine. And we're going to miss Jeff tremendously in Saugus. He has both as the the work he's done as the principal of Belmonte, and then the curricular work over the last 2 years in how he has leveraged the district in terms of accountability, standards, and now this year really being the point person for the park conversion and looking at data and working with the principals to make sure that their school improvement plans, everything is data-driven. He's been a phenomenal resource for us. We hope to be able to put a search committee together too, and we'll be calling on people, from around the community, as well as principals and teachers to be on that committee. We hope to start that process beginning next week, and hopefully have something in place within the next couple of weeks as we look at the advertisement and job description. So that'll be happening soon. I also had a prioritized list of non-capital items requested by the school committee. And basically, this was requested so that we would have a kind of fast and ready list of things, a needs-based list, if we had the opportunity to have benefactors or grant sources avail themselves to us, which it's always a good place to be, okay, when we have interested people ready to donate to the schools, or we find a grant that really serves us well. So, and I'll fly through these with the synopsis of them. The first that we had was a district-wide robotics program, which would be in line with all of our STEM initiatives. We would try to implement that throughout K-12, with particularly in secondary, having clubs as well, and advisors with that. And we would need equipment. We would need after school time and potentially stipends for people to run those clubs and activities. And our estimate on that was that would cost approximately $30,000. But what's neat about that is it's something that could instantly make an impact at every grade level, and it's something that we just haven't been able to do. So that was one proposal. We had a proposal to add additional science lab investigation kits predicated on inquiry-based learning, particularly at the elementary and middle school level, that we would like to supplement. School buses in general, both special education transportation buses, and we estimated that need would be between $40,000 and $80,000. And again, depending on what type of buses, how many buses we could get, but that would directly do two things for us. It would reduce our cost to transport our own kids. We have very few buses within the district as well, so it would be great to be autonomous in that regard. But it would also give us the opportunity to take exploratory field trips and be able to offer more authentic, in the field experiences for our students more often. So that was one rationale that we had for that. There's been a need to expand morning and after school programs, as we heard before, with the other proposals to expand opportunities for kids of all ages, but we wanted to do that so that they would have more access for all students to do worthwhile things before and after school. Of course, we're still looking to promote our Chromebooks, and the technology department came up with and we kind of labeled it an Adopt a Cart program, where our full sets of laptops on mobile carts that we could implement right into the schools would be about $9,000 per cart. And wouldn't it be great to have your business or benefactor even sponsor that? And that could be a whole nother discussion, but we just wanted to put that out there. Again, we were asked to come up with needs. Adult and community education for a very comprehensive program, and I know this differs from the other programs that were pitched before, but we were looking to have positions for people to be directors and help with overhead and advertising and everything like that. And we thought that could cost up to $80,000, which is an expensive way to go. But we also didn't, and we could look at that again and even reduce those costs. But we didn't really want to. We wanted it to be something that stands alone within the schools, or potentially even working with the town, to have something that could be comprehensive for, say, field trips, for adult night classes, for student activities, for summer camps, just a complete overview, and to really manage that and manage that well. I think it would take a lot of time, coordination, and effort. Full-day kindergarten for free for everyone. It's always been a goal for us, but in looking at where we stand right now, we estimate that would be $200,000 to do that, and we would also need grants to do that. And there's no doubt that the research is there, that particularly in both anecdotal, and we can see it evidenced in student performance. The teachers know the kids who had the benefit of full day K right there. They're coming in better prepared, and it really, early literacy is the key. All of our data points to that. It's such a powerful moment when a student is reading to learn instead of learning to read. Everything else stems from that for their entire careers. So that was an estimate. Summer school, in terms of a full-blown remediation and enrichment program that both the middle school and the high school had, as well as the elementary schools, which hopefully could also be coordinated through adult and community ed. We estimated that in order to get those programs, it would be about a $40,000 cost. Not that couldn't be part of the 80 before, but I just took the lists and suggestions as they came, and they came fast and furious with the team, believe me. The other thing that we spoke about, and I think this is an excellent idea, and it came out of, or was an offshoot of what we're doing with the MIMSI program, or the Massachusetts Math and Science Initiative program, where in that program that we are soon going to negotiate a letter of agreement with the MIMSI folks. But that program has an element of it where teachers are paid extra stipends in order to teach other study sessions. So in talking with the leadership team, we spoke about and we labeled it Study Institutes, where, granted, that is a math and science based initiative, but we wondered if we had opportunities for students who wanted to learn about anything that is particularly in the curriculum already, and we could reinforce that with other study sessions, say after school at designated areas and times, or on Saturdays, or even over vacations. Like this. A lot of our advanced placement teachers have always done this for free as well. And we're looking for a way to streamline that and offer, at the reimbursement rate that teachers get anyway, just for tutoring, not tutoring, excuse me, but for other things, other teaching that they do, where they're compensated. We thought at that rate we could offer students the opportunity at all grade levels to get that. Particularly, we're trying to focus on the STEM and humanities students as well, but it also came up to even have summer vacation, homework help for the huge amounts of work that students had, to have people on call and have kind of office hours, if you will, was the concept. So we estimated that, depending on the demand, could be up to $30,000. I believe that's all we had with those. Apologize for the speed round there.
It's okay. It's okay. Committee, have any questions on the superintendent's report? And I know we'll be talking about the capital plan later on the agenda. And
just wanted to touch on the
Meredith?
starting school before Labor Day. Generally, it's never been received well in this town. I know that they've brought it up several times. Would you consider doing something like putting a survey out to the parents to get their input on what the general consensus?
We also have that on the agenda later. It's, the calendars are on the agenda
Okay.
for our, this is for consideration at
Yeah.
this time. What we're doing is tossing, gathering some ideas. We don't have to make a decision now, but the earlier we set the calendar, the better for parents, because they do plan on vacations.
Right.
So it's not a bad idea to put a survey out, and I know we've used the Survey Monkey, haven't we?
Sure.
We can see what they think
Right.
about that.
I'd be very open to doing that.
But as Meredith is right, it's not well-received to start before Labor Day.
Yeah. Well, I do know, in looking at next year's schedule, and we were looking at that today, I was with Donna McNeil, is next year, the following year, it just happens, it's a late start anyway, so no matter what, you're going to do it. I think it's like the 9th or the 7th or the 9th. So there's no way not to do it the following year in terms of principle before whatever. And it's an end of summer. I mean, I get the perspective on it. But I do think it's worth it, particularly with winters, and also to know in terms of sports and activities and siblings, approximately 40 to 50% of those associated with high school athletics
Yeah.
are around anyway. for
Then you
that.
have your parents that only have the elementary level that still like
Oh,
their
sure.
vacations.
Oh, I
and-
completely get it.
So I have both, so I can understand both sides of
I know a
that.
lot of districts around us start before Labor Day now.
But when you start in summer on July 1st, like last year, and then you want to cut it,
Oh, yeah.
last year it felt like we didn't even have a summer. Usually you're ready for the kids to go back. Last summer, it just went so fast.
The issue had
And the
been
way it's
referred
snowing.
to policy subcommittee a couple of times without a consensus or a policy actually adopted. A lot of work was put into it to just set if it's more than a week before, if it starts on the first, second, third, we
Yeah.
start before or after Labor Day.
Right.
Just so that we wouldn't have this argument every year, because it seemed that the committee at some points were divided over, we should start before, we should start after. So, just to try to avoid that. In the case where there's almost a whole week before Labor Day, I agree, even though I don't like starting before Labor Day, I don't like supporting it, but you have to see what the whole calendar plays out first, when the last day of school would
Sure.
be with
Right.
or do we want to start looking at adding more snow days into the calendar? Right now, we build 5 days in. Maybe we want to look at adding more. This is an unusual year. We don't usually have this many snow days.
Right.
Yeah.
It just so happens it starts snowing
Yeah.
during the night, and there's just not enough time usually.
But
That doesn't usually happen.
I remember a year when my son was at high school that it snowed only on the weekends, and he was like, what? No snow days.
No snow days, I know.
Yeah, you just-
I know.
You were a bunch of disappointed children.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But I think putting a survey out to the parents, just to get, so you can get the feel of what the parents feel, the general consensus.
I agree.
Make
Madam
sure the
Chair?
parents get the surveys and not the kids.
Yeah, I know, it's never.
Ms. Riley?
I just want to thank the superintendent for getting the money for the capital, the non-capital requests. And, because I have had a couple of interests asking about things that we would need, which is always a good
Yeah,
thing.
that's
And
great.
hopefully I don't want to put the horse before the cart before the horse.
Yeah,
But, hopefully we'll be coming back to the school committee with some good news.
that's
So,
great.
I appreciate the work into this. I know
Oh, no,
it was quick asked for, so
Yeah,
I
but-
appreciate it.
we appreciate those leads, so.
Yeah, thank you.
That's great.
Are there any questions on the superintendent's report?
Yeah, I'm just concerned, a lot of these things are certainly great ideas. Finances being where they are, pretty hard to accommodate those ideas, but I think a lot of these things are entrepreneurial type programs and they shouldn't impinge upon the LEA for some of the funding on a lot of these programs. I think it's, I'm amazed that we went from looking at a $2,000 stipend for a director of adult education to an $80,000 program. It's pretty hard to comprehend how it went from that to this over the course of a year.
So are there any questions for the superintendent's report?
For me?
We do, in our packets, have the report of the Executive Director of Pupil Personnel Services. Do you want to read the report, or do you want us
Just
to
gotta find
just?
it once
You don't have to read it, but the committee have any questions on? We can relay back, or? I'm happy to see that they are. I know she had, Ms. Howard had mentioned that she was going to go look at a few programs for the 18-22-year-old program. So it's nice to see she's going to visit a few of those. Are there any questions for?
Nope, I don't.
I really like the spread the word also.
Yeah.
To end the
To
word.
end the word.
To end the word.
Mhm.
And I think maybe, since we have the media here, maybe they'd like to do a nice little piece on that, because I think that program really,
No, it's great work, and we had, I'm just trying to, I know that that's next week, so we will reach out to the media, right? Those of you out, all right. And I can get the time and the place for that. I believe it's next Wednesday. I'm trying to toggle between my calendars there, and it's not working with my school committee back. I believe it's Wednesday, 9:30. So,
yeah, I don't, it doesn't have a date on it, but I know that I saw an announcement on this. I think we got an email, didn't we?
yeah.
That, with the date. But
Seen that.
trying to,
What is it, Wednesday?
I'll tell you right now. Let me just.
gonna check.
Now, is that Veronica Flynn? Is she the life skills teacher at the high
Well,
school?
this is. Yes, actually, it's Wednesday at 9 o'clock at Belmonte, and they have done this at other schools. So this is all the students and teachers and family members. They have a presentation. It's a powerful video where students pledge not to use the word retarded in reference to students with intellectual disabilities. And it really is a powerful, teachable moment as it stands, because everyone knows someone or has someone in their family or is impacted greatly with students with intellectual disabilities, and it really, like a lot of the words that potentially people grow up with and they use just as a matter of fact, and they don't realize how offensive they can be to groups. They're kind of called out on that, but in a learning way. But once that culture changes, and you find that it's not cool to say those things, and it really broadens students' perspective and acceptance of all viewpoints and of how all people are, in terms of ethnicity, race, intellectual, that everyone contributes, and it's really an eye-opening experience for a lot of folks. So it was very successful in the other schools. Ms. Howard is really she's working with the student leadership around the district, and they're really answering the call to it. So it is a great program.
Unfortunately, I wouldn't be able to attend that, but I hope it really goes over well. Sounds great. Next, we have report of subcommittees. We have recommendations that were referred to both athletic subcommittee and the finance subcommittee regarding user fees, both athletic and general user fees. So, finance subcommittee want to give, that was snow that fell on the
wow.
fire escape.
Oh. The roof isn't gonna cave in on us.
No.
I just have a question as far as the athletic subcommittee. Will we be discussing their recommendation on the athletic user fees this evening that we don't have,
I don't have a report from athletic subcommittee, but I know that they met yesterday, and depending, you want to hear their did the athletic subcommittee vote a recommendation on the user fees? Is that a yes? Yes?
Yeah, we're on the agenda, so we'll have a recommendation like it says on the agenda.
Okay, because I know it was yesterday, so we didn't get it included in our packets. So, and the meeting was put off because of snow, and there was a lot of other issues with weather. So,
well, I don't know what to, I'd like to know what the athletic, I dropped mine so everybody knows what the recommendation is. So if we could hear maybe the athletic.
Well, why don't we just follow the agenda, and then when my time comes, I'll have my report for everybody. Unless you want to take it out of order.
Yeah, we can take it out of
well,
order.
actually, we should be taking them up together because it's the same pool of money. And the reason why it was referred to both subcommittees was so we could get a recommendation on, as the motion of town meeting was, to reduce user fees, including other, not just athletic, but all user fees. So, Finance Subcommittee did look at the user fees, and Athletic Subcommittee looked at athletic user fees, so talk to me, people. What's the consensus of how to use the 30,000? Or what's the recommendation?
So you're going to take my thing out of order?
I'm taking both up at the same time.
Okay, well, I'll wait.
Well, I'd like to know what you have, only because you have hours that we typed and had it ready for this meeting, and I don't
Right.
have anything.
Right.
Well, we don't.
When my report comes up, I have it prepared. Since I didn't get the documentation finished, and the meeting was over at 6 o'clock last night, there was no way to get it to anybody till right now.
Okay, so let's start with the Finance Subcommittee. You had recommendation on user fees that was included in the packet, which basically says that they're reasonable, and we should not reduce them at this time. Is that what the voted recommendation was?
That
To
was
not
That was the voted
make any change
recommendation.
at this time, which makes a bit of sense, because with 30,000, that doesn't leave, if you add up all the students paying both athletic and other user fees, it doesn't leave much of a discount for anyone.
Correct. But also at that, on our January 9th meeting, I believe we also had a discussion because part of the article that
Motion,
had
yeah.
said about fine arts user fees is that we discussed perhaps the committee thinking about a 10% of the $30,000 to go to fine arts user fees as a scholarship, say they need to benefit all the students. So I don't know, I know that that's out of the realm of what we were asked to do as far as just the user fees itself. Again, I don't know what the athletic subcommittee was going to use the whole 30,000. Were they planning on giving or talking about, what the fine arts would receive? So I'm going to have to wait for Mr. Grabowski's report. However, again, the 10% that we discussed to be able to help out the students, because our user fees are very reasonable, and the program, and it works. And I know that Ms. Andrews wanted to see again how this munis was going to affect that as well.
It's just tracking, yeah.
Tracking it, and plus, that's exactly right. We needed to look into and revisit more later when we have more data. But as far as the finance subcommittee, they did their job, and I appreciate them doing the towns and our recommendation. So I just wanted to bring up again, during that, we had spoke about the non-union pay rates and van drivers and event runners, and we would like to meet again to submit or think about recommendations to the full school committee on all non-union pay rates. Also, the subcommittee members would like to look for guidance from the full school committee as to how to either work with or submit requests to the policy subcommittee on looking into how to follow procedures on how positions are paid, because we don't have anything right now of how event runners and or score takers, things like that. There's not a set policy or procedures.
Under the general law, the school committee sets all rate of pay.
Right, but we, even at one meeting that we had, we were looking at the warrants, and certain things were paid different amounts, and there was no...
And that's why we were trying to get them in line, and why this was referred to the finance subcommittee to begin with, to get a survey, set a rate, make it, kind of give it the school committee's approval. This is what the different things will be paid for the different positions. And I know the van driver thing has been looked at more because the vans were relatively new, and we started out pretty low, and then we had longer trips, so we adjusted it. So let's, I mean, the things that we'll have to watch as we go
Right.
along, but you just can't change it without the school committee approval.
Well, that's what the
So once
guidance-
we recognize it,
Yep.
it can't be changed without approval.
Right, so that was what we were asking, because we want to meet again. So we have the districts of what they charge. Okay, we have 6 districts that we looked into as rate pay, substitute teachers, CAF workers, all those things.
Crossing guards?
Crossing
Crossing
guards,
guards.
yes, crossing guards. So we have all that information. We just, when, in the conversation that we were having the subcommittee members felt that some kind of,
Structure.
yes, like needs to be, again, regarding either the policy subcommittee working together or just going through the full school committee first and then recommending it to the, like, we wanted guidance as to what we wanted to bring other than the rates that we submit.
Well, we could certainly look at a policy, but really that falls under procedures, under the superintendent's purview. And actually, not that long ago, I had shared with the superintendent an old administrator handbook that we used to give to new administrators, and thought that maybe it's something he'd want to update for everyone, so everyone uses the same processes for all different things. And that was also touched upon in that. He said that he was interested in looking at something like that and updating. Of course, it's outdated. We haven't had something like that in the district from quite a while. But that kind of, it's, as a guideline, any administrator who oversees all these would know, you have to get the approvals for X, Y, and Z in the process of doing that. So,
Okay, so the next, in March then, because we're going to meet again at the end of February. So in March, we'll have a, at least the substitute pays and other things that you have, that we have that all ready to go.
When's the last time the substitutes received a pay raise?
I don't recall. It's 2006?
I wasn't on, it was before me.
It was quite a while ago.
Yeah, but you'll see the districts of who
7.
pays what
Yeah,
to their subs.
We're going to get a full report.
Right,
Thank you.
yes, you will, in March. Yeah, that's it for that, for,
And I should just ask the superintendent, I didn't mean to just throw that at you, but do you feel that that should stay under your procedures, or do we need a policy on something like that?
I think it should be procedures. I did like the book that you presented to me. You know, it needs to be updated, but there's no substitute for just, you're new or whatever, and we can just say, this is it. And I would like to vet some of those, you know, with the team, but I got to be honest, I haven't had time. I haven't had time to, you know, completely recreate that. But the value of that is immense, and we will look at it. We plan on. I'm trying to plan on having two administrative workshops, one before we leave for the summer, and then one as we open it up. So basically, I guess I'm here most of the summer anyway. So, but just to gather material to put on there and to put drafts on there, so we can say this is where we want to be. But it is a good idea.
Well, the fees wouldn't be set by fees would be set by us. I
Right,
don't
but-
understand what procedures would be involved in fees. Fees would be set by us, and those are the fees that they would
Procedures
get.
maybe is how they're paid, because there's no procedures in
right.
how they're paid. Cash,
And-
check,
Oh, no, there is,
schedule. There is a procedure for that?
sure.
It's just not being followed?
In some areas,
Yeah.
yes.
Well, nobody's being paid cash, they're all being paid through the business office, as far as I understand.
Yeah.
But the fees themselves are not part of the procedure.
We're not talking about the athletic fees, we're talking about payment to individuals for work, or like the van drivers, that we had referred those to the finance subcommittee to look at, so we could actually set a rate.
Right.
And what I referenced was that to create a rate of pay, it requires school committee approval. And
Right.
it's really a procedural issue that administrators need to know. They need to go through the superintendent to present to the school committee to create something, that you can't just
Oh, okay.
create a
Yeah,
position.
right.
Though the scorers and those have been around forever, and at some point, I'm sure a school committee did approve that. We just have no record of how or how much
Well, it
and
was
how the
ex-
prices
It was
change.
explained to us that those are MIAA regulations, that those positions are not superfluous, that they're just added, they're required by the MIAA for the events.
And the MIAA tells you how much you have to pay for them?
No, they tell you that you have to have X, Y, and Z positions,
Someone taking tickets at the door?
yeah? Well, no,
No.
well, we charge admission, so
Yeah.
you need somebody to take a ticket if you're gonna
Right, so
charge
you
admission.
can't say that positions are mandated by MIAA.
No, but you have somebody that has to sell a ticket and somebody has to
I'm
collect a
not saying you
ticket.
shouldn't. They've
you
always
need the
had that.
revenue.
They've always had people do it. I'm not questioning that. What I'm questioning is the rate of pay
Right.
just can't change arbitrarily.
Exactly.
I just think we need it in writing somewhere where that's what they make. So if Jimmy's sick this day and he can't collect tickets, whoever fills in knows what they're getting paid.
And
I'm just making up a name.
in my
Why does that?
discussions,
Non-discriminatory name, Jimmy.
my discussions with the principals too, they want that too.
Yeah.
And to the other point, I liken it to when we're reviewing the mentoring, program and trying to have everything when a teacher comes in. What do we expect them to know and whatever? Same thing for an administrator, so that it would be a guidebook almost. So you want to have a field trip. Okay, make sure you follow these procedures, and we just haven't, gotten to itemizing that. Some of the things in the old book are dated. Some of the things, a good example is now how Ms. Andrews has streamlined paying for activities and things like that. How do we do that? All these within the last couple of years, they've been amazing changes, and it would be great to get all that in there. But we're as we're changing, we haven't made the book yet. So chronicling it.
Okay, so let me just get this straight. The finance subcommittee will get a recommendation for what we feel for the school committee of the rate of pay for all these event things,
Well, that's
the
the.
pay rates. And.
But it's not just athletics, right? Do
No,
we
it's
have
all-
it for other?
no,
Van
it's
drivers,
van
crossing guards.
Crossing guards,
Yep.
calf workers, nurses, and what else do we do? Substitute teachers.
Substitute teachers.
So when we have that all completed, we give it to the school committee, then we'll just vote on what we want to set the rate at, and then the procedures will be done by the superintendent, and it
Exactly.
won't be a policy through the school committee.
Right, and today
Gotcha.
we can really document what that rate is.
Yes, okay.
Whereas years ago, over time,
Mhm.
people just knew, it's not really like posted on a wall somewhere, this is the rate. And positions being posted, which is also on the agenda later, the rate of pay is with that. So I think it'll just make everything run a lot more smoother.
Okay, very good.
So we'll have that on next agenda, a recommendation or report on that. And even if we don't act on it at that time, at least we'll have the information to digest or act in pieces.
Okay. Okay, which is next? Am I on next again?
No,
Okay.
next we do have the report of athletic subcommittee, recommendation on athletic user fees.
One. Pass it down.
No.
Excuse me, people.
As I said, we had an athletic subcommittee meeting last night, and we've had a lot of discussion about the $30,000 that was allocated for the user fees. And we came up with a recommendation that this chart would set the new user fees for the springtime. A reduction of approximately $35 in some cases. That would use up approximately $10,420 roughly, based on anticipated participation. The problem with this $30,000 is it was given in the middle of a school year, and in order to do any meaningful reduction, it's virtually impossible during the middle of a school year, because then you get involved with rebates and trying to figure out how to get the money back to people. So was the vote, unanimous vote, well, no, it wasn't unanimous, the vote to lower the user fees for the springtime and to take the excess money that's left over, approximately $20,000. It'd be used to prepay some expenses for next year, and then applying that thought process to evaluating how that's going to affect the user fees for next year.
So the recommendation was to just use the $10,420
For the springtime.
and reduce the user fees roughly $35 for spring sports.
Right.
And the rest of the money?
Would be used to prepay some expenses out of the athletic department's budget for next year by lowering their expenses for next year by approximately $20,000. That will alleviate $20,000 of money that won't needed to be spent because of using it this year, and apply that in some way, shape, or form when we set the new rates for the athletic user fees for next year.
So when you say expenses, do you mean applying that 20,000 to the user fees for next year?
No, you can't do that.
I thought that's what we discussed
Yeah,
yesterday.
we discussed using the
We can't,
30,000 for all.
According to Paula Andrews, she talked to the town accountant, and we cannot carry over money to next year. It has to be spent this year.
Does.
I
So
lost it.
if it has to be spent this year, why wouldn't we use the whole 30,000 and take it down more than $30 per
because then you're leaving out over half of the participants in sports that would get absolutely no benefit.
That's why we looked at it this way, because the participants in the fall get no, because you can't go back and rebate it, because the cost of going back and rebating it would probably eat up this whole thing. So moving forward, we were trying to get a rebate for the kids playing fall sports, so you encompass everyone. But we didn't, I believe we didn't know at the time we couldn't carry it over.
I was under the impression that I thought we could, and then
Yeah.
in meeting with Ms. Andrews, showed me an email she sent to the town side of government, and they said since it was appropriated in this fiscal year, it has to be spent in this fiscal year, so there's no way that we can carry that over to apply to user fees for next year. The only thing we can do is use that money to reduce expenses for next year, which theoretically would help reduce the user fees for next year. Other than that, if you wanted to give it to every single person that paid a user fee, you're talking approximately $700 checks going out to individuals. And that seemed to be very unwieldy and very not a preferred way of doing things.
When this
Can I-
happened before?
This is only a
how did they do it?
recommendation.
It was rebated
It was done-
because it was brought out, but it was early in the school year. It was just football, I believe, that they had to.
That was the $60,000, yeah. It was only football.
No, I, soccer, I received it, yeah, for soccer, and I thought it was a rebate.
It was.
So,
We discussed that, and that
But
would,
now we're going through basketball season, wrestling, hockey,
Hockey.
football.
talking approximately, there's roughly 700 individual fees paid. So if you were to do that, there would have to be 700 checks cut to individuals. And I don't think anybody felt that that was a good thing to do. And this is only a recommendation, the committee can do whatever they like. We've had.
I don't like any of it, to be honest. I mean, it was asked to put the 30,000 to the user fees, not to put 28,000 of that into, so I
Well,
think
it
we
was
need to.
supposed to go to user fees. That's what we were talking yesterday.
Right.
So everyone gets a share in it. So one group, say if you just play the fall sport, you don't play a spring sport, you get nothing.
I understand it.
So we
It's
try to
not
do
fair
that,
do
so-
just the
and-
spring
and
sports, but
obviously
there's
we
gotta be
found out-
something else we can do. I don't like just taking the 20,000 and sticking it into the account and saying, buy new helmets for this sport or that sport. I mean, 20,000, then it's how it's gonna get spent.
Well, what-
Who's gonna police that?
Mr. Grabowski, what I understand what he's saying is by putting that money there, you're taking money that you don't have to charge to a user fee.
But we know that'll get spent somewhere, and it won't get, we will not see the user fees go down, and that money, that 20,000 will probably get spent somewhere. That's my opinion. That's not what that town meeting asked us to do, so I don't, if we can't spend that 30,000 now, and you don't think we can spend that 30,000, then let's not allocate the 30,000 for that. We need to do something different.
Well, I still want to put out that, that for the finance subcommittee, we did discuss the 10%, because on here, it looks like the fine arts didn't get anything, which would be, I mean, it's up to the committee what they want to do, but I do want to
We did-
allocate.
When I spoke to the chairman of the committee, and the direction I got was the 30,000 was going to be used for athletics. That's the direction I got.
But the original,
Recommendation,
but the original article said to both.
both, right. When are the other user fees charged? Are they different times a year?
The spring one's next
The fine
March
arts?
3rd or something.
Fine
I think.
arts?
Oh, fine, I don't know that. I know that at the beginning of the year, if you want to be in the drama club at the Belmonte, they get their money then. They
Right.
join and they get it.
And band also does in the beginning of the school year, right?
Yes, probably. And I don't know if there's anything, I know that they pay later if there's a.
If they're in drama or.
If they're in drama to
yeah,
do a play and things like
For the
that.
spring production.
Spring.
Right.
So, and I'm just trying to weigh that if there's, oh boy, it is sticky. So if we took the 30 and just discounted forward for the rest of this school year for all fees, it doesn't help
That's right.
in the past.
Doesn't help the people that have paid already.
But town meeting well, you know,
What's
they voted this well after the school year began and after those sports had already started anyway.
Mhm.
And,
I understand, was the idea behind allocating that money was to give the kids an opportunity that may not be able to afford to play or participate, to lower it so they could participate?
to reduce.
Isn't that what the,
fees.
Sean Maltese had said at the town meeting? We were all there. Didn't he say that a lot of kids cannot afford to play? So the idea behind it was to lower it so they could maybe have the opportunity to play?
That'd be good, but if
So
they
that
play
wouldn't be,
football,
have anything to do with rebating.
I know, but if they play football, it's not gonna help them.
Or hockey, which are the two most expensive sports, $400 apiece.
Well, then maybe we should have addressed this when we knew it wasn't gonna happen, that we couldn't help all the kids because of the timing.
Yeah, but when we got it, all the sports, we're in the same position we are now. Because hockey had already started and all the
I know,
sports.
that's what I'm saying, we should have addressed it at the time when he made the recommendation, take this 30,000 and put it to user fees, we should have said,
He-
that's
he did not-
unrealistic.
He did not say take the 30,000. He suggested
Just
it
that we
at
take this
least.
30,000 and put it to all the things, but I'm
We
saying,
can certainly appropriate more money and reduce it for everybody, but I don't think that would.
but that wouldn't be, you're saying that would still be in the same problem, it wouldn't be fair to the kids that already played.
Yeah, no, you're trying to be equitable to everyone.
Yeah.
So what if you use whatever the balance is for next year's, do the fall sports that did not get the break this year?
We
Can't
can't
carry
carry it
it
over.
forward.
Oh, that's right. you
Have to
can't
spend the
carry it.
money this year.
That was our original plan, that's what
Yeah.
we wanted to do.
So if you have to spend it this year, then it just should go to this year, the rest of the remainder of the year.
Yeah, I forgot that was, because by
I
June,
will,
right?
you know, it's a tough fit. We try every scenario possible, but I would not support lowering the fees for one group and not every kid that paid a fee. I think it has to be equitable, but every parent and kid that paid a fee has to get something out of this money, not just one spring sport.
Then we'll be cutting checks to everybody.
Yep, that's the only other alternative. The only equitable way is figure out how many, there's over 700 people that paid a fee. Not 700 people, 700 fees. If you take 700 fees and do some rough math, divide it into 30,000, you're talking a rebate check. Maybe not a check, but I can't see any other way, writing a check out to 700, and one family might get 3 checks, or credit for 3, because they played 3 sports. But you're still talking, having to rebate 700 individual fees. And I'm not sure, I mean, we could certainly tell the business manager to do it, and she can process it and tell the town to do it. I don't know how that would be received, but it certainly is very cumbersome.
How much does it come out to per?
$42.85 per 700,
And
$42, $43 per participant. So 700 fees were paid, it would be $40. So if you're gonna send out 700 checks, you had to have someone process those checks. By the time you're done, that it's eating up that 30,000 in labor and paper.
We discussed this too.
Yeah,
We discussed every possible solution. The only one, and we found out today, late today, that it couldn't be done, was to put the money aside and then use it next year, but we can't do that. So we'd be more than happy to take anybody else's suggestion. Go ahead.
The only thought I have on this whole subject is that if you did want to refund fall and winter sports, it would absolutely necessitate a discussion with town accountant and maybe the treasurer as to how to best do that. I mean, maybe we can go back and do some refunds through Unipay. We don't do that anymore. I know a couple of those instances did happen, but maybe for this situation. But you have to understand the impact on those departments because they're going to need to reconcile everything. So it really does become a logistics issue. I'm not opposed, but I think we need to have the courtesy of a discussion with the town departments that are going to actually execute this.
Ms. Andrews, is there any way that you could look at not spending it in June? Like, is there any exception or a way that there's another procedure to go by or to alleviate putting that money somewhere just to be used after June? Like, is there anything that has come up that,
When do
You know what
they
I mean? Like,
actually
what could
pay
be-
fall sports?
You know,
The
I guess-
beginning of the sport.
August.
But the email from the town, what was it,
Town
Joyce?
accountant. The
The town
appropriation.
accountant, the appropriation is for this fiscal year, it has to be spent in this fiscal year, because our recommendation was to put it into a special account for alleviating user fees for next year. When we set the user fees for next year, we could take the 20,000, deduct it, and then we would have relief of that for everybody for next year. And that was our original intent, and we found out this morning that we can't do it. And that way, we would cover everybody. Spring sports would get theirs, and the people next year would get theirs when we set the rates again. We spent hours, probably 4 or 5 hours discussing this, and
When is spring sign up?
pretty soon.
March.
Yeah,
The
it's
third, I
right around
think.
the corner.
March 3rd.
I don't, if I could, my perspective on this is I think you're bound to the spring-only season. That's from in terms of logistics, and the equity argument, it's tough to, I mean, that's kind of the hand that we have and the timeline that we have. And one suggestion, even though it's one way to look at it, would be if your ratio is $35 relief, estimated, as I look at the chart, maybe you could just, all spring would get 100.
Yeah.
Just kind of
But-
rule of third there.
I'm going to come out right now, I'm not going to support giving all $100 to each spring sport, reducing their fees, and penalize the people that have paid their fees. Hockey, football, every other sport that's involved in town, except for these, gets nothing. I can't see the equity in that.
The other question I would have is if Family ID, the program that we use to log on and register for sports, if it could produce some type of report, is by family? For example, the Andrews family played 3 sports, or
Right, so
they
that would be
played 2,
one.
so that, maybe if you have a significant amount of families who have paid who are going into spring sports and have already played another sport, that would alleviate how many refunds you give?
You're still talking in the hundreds. Because if right now it's 700, even if you cut it in half, you're still talking 350 rebates to do. And I agree with you that you should talk to the town and see, I don't know what their perceptions are gonna be on having to do something like that.
It's not like they handwrite them.
It's up to you guys what you wanna do. This is the best way we found to do it. If you wanna do it differently, but I will not support just giving it to the spring sports. It's the cleanest way of doing it, but it's not the most equitable way. Every family should get the benefit of that tax money, not just certain ones.
But wasn't that your recommendation, though, Mr. Grabowski? Was just to give it to these?
No?
No, it was to split it, to give some
Oh,
this year and some next year.
Again, that 19,580.
Well, I
And
have
there
to
would be
say,
no rebates or refunds.
I'm not
like
really in favor of the recommendation of the athletic subcommittee. And I'm more inclined to support just giving it back to, just rebate them. Give it back to all
Everybody.
for this year. I might even suggest that we include some of the fine art ones that that were,
Well, you're gonna have to make a decision soon, because there's a couple, probably 150, maybe 200 more people that in the next couple of weeks will be paying a user fee that you're gonna have to rebate, as opposed to cutting it now before they pay it.
Well, no, we could always give it to them now. I mean, if that's what it was, you can say they still get the reduced fee without a rebate, you could still do that.
We had no problem with
Do you have
the,
those figures of how many,
this is 300 for, this is 300 for going into the spring.
no, what we've already has been
Yeah.
paid? Do you have,
The, I think it was 700. He
It's
was
around 700.
Yeah, but each sport is a different, is it the same amount of money for everything for the 700?
No,
You got track, you got,
football and, football and
Oh, the
hockey are
winter.
obviously different than,
right.
Then the other question
we
is,
don't have a number of participants? Do you have a breakdown of
For
like
the
this?
fall, no.
on the-
no,
But you can get.
we can get it, yeah.
So we meet again next week, so maybe we could have the conversation with the town and talk to them and see what, about doing the rebate and see how complicated that's gonna be, and then table this till next week when we meet
Yeah, we had
again.
no problem with the rebates. We were just trying to logistically save the town time and money.
But if we're gonna be fair, then it has to do that, or
Yeah.
like you said, I mean, I don't,
and then the other thing, to be fair, do you give somebody that paid a $400 fee the same rebate that you gave somebody that's paying a $250 fee?
yeah, you'd have to take you'd have to take the
Has to be
amount and
prorated.
divide it
Yeah,
and make
just
it the
divide
same
it
amount.
evenly.
Well, but then you're giving
Percent.
a sport that pays $400 the same amount of rebate as you're giving a sport that pays $250.
That's right.
That's a lot more math if you're gonna try to calculate a percentage
It
of it.
is, but I'm trying to be fair to everybody.
That is fair. Divided evenly is fair.
It's a difficult subject to begin with, and it's not that it's not appreciated. I do understand and I do understand the recommendation, how bringing it forward in some regard would lower the fee for those fall sports. But it is this fiscal year, and
I wish we knew that,
think
so we
that's
could
the
Yeah,
have
no,
addressed this
if we knew
2
that
months ago.
yesterday before our meeting, we could,
I don't know what would have changed or how we could have changed it.
athletic, don't
Well, I
forget,
wish
it
we
it
knew 2 months
had been
ago.
delayed for weather, for how many
Yeah.
different meetings was,
3 or 4, it was
Yeah.
quite a few.
so that, I mean, that, it's not as if,
But we
It
can
was put
certainly
off
table it if you want to
intentionally.
talk to the town about the account and
Yeah,
about
I
doing
think out
rebates.
of
I mean,
respect, we should do that.
I think so too.
Yep, agreed.
You'll follow up with that, or?
No.
Excellent.
Madam Chair, can I make a motion to table this till next week,
Next week,
when we come back, after we have our conversations, and
next week we have a meeting?
don't we have a meeting?
We have a joint meeting
On the 3rd, right.
on the 27th.
So we don't meet, because this one was moved to another week, no? We don't have another meeting? When's our next meeting?
March to the 3rd.
I don't know. Yeah, that's
Third
what we
is a
just
Monday.
discussed. We just had that
Third is,
conversation.
that was
wasn't it?
April. That's
Gosh,
April,
Never mind.
yeah.
I'm looking for warm
March,
weather.
March
I can't listen to
13th
her.
would be our next meeting.
When is spring signups? What are the dates that you have to pay? Do you know,
March
Miss Andrews?
3rd.
The date that they have to pay for spring sports?
March 3rd.
I thought it was the first week of March.
it is the first week of
Usually
March.
When is
is.
registration night, the 3rd?
Can we
So we
hold
don't
that
have
out?
a
Usually by
meeting
tryout.
before that?
I think we should
So-
hold out.
Or we could,
How's this? We post a meeting for 6, right, or 6:30, right before the joint meeting.
That's,
for this sole purpose to vote on this?
Just for this?
I think that's a good idea,
Yes?
yes.
when's that next, yeah, that's fine, because we have a policy committee meeting at 4 next Thursday.
So we're not going to vote on the user fees, I mean, the fine arts as well from the finance committee tonight? Is that right? We're going to table that one as well? Both?
The recommendation?
Yeah.
We didn't take any action on the recommendation because you didn't recommend to change them.
Right.
You recommended to leave it the same.
Oh, but I did bring up conversation about the
10%.
10%. if we either talk about that, or we just vote on it, or we can leave it for next meeting.
What's this, I don't understand this 10% thing.
It was just a 10% of the 30,000 to come to the fine arts user fees, the fine arts department, for them to at least be able to get something that they may need or use that will help all the students of the fine arts department. I don't know what it would be up to the directors, the fine art directors.
But that begs the question of reducing user fees. Giving them money to spend as they see fit, but that has no correlation to the user fees.
Well, it could keep something from going up next year.
Well, that's what we were trying to do with,
It's
it's
the-
the
yeah.
same thing we were trying to do with,
Right, but
Moving
this year
that.
you're gonna pay it.
That's the same recommendation
Not
we're
direct
making.
relief, though. You're looking for direct relief.
Yeah, yeah.
Huh?
I think you're looking for direct relief in compensation for what people have already put out immediately back to the,
But that's the same recommendation we had, to take the 20, prepay some expenses for next year with the applying that towards the user fees for next year. If you're
Yeah, I
taking
don't like that.
10% of the money
I agree.
and giving it as money to buy things with, that's not directly related to the user fees.
That's my point, precisely. It sounds like the intention was to have direct relief to the consumer.
Right.
Yeah.
It was the intention, but it's not logistical.
It's
Yeah.
a nightmare. No, I'm not,
Okay,
I
so
have no magic bullet here.
you mentioned a few minutes ago that you might even entertain the idea of giving a little bit back to the user fees of the fine arts department, is that right? Or are we just going to say the fine arts department doesn't
That
get
was
any?
my opinion.
Right.
That issue has not come before us.
Okay, so can we discuss that again at the next week's meeting?
It's a different set of calculations. Do you have the information? Let's see.
Mr. Grabowski, does the 700 user fees include spring?
Projected spring.
No.
I don't think they did.
No, that's just before.
No, okay.
I'm not sure.
I'll look into that one day and just misread and just see if that's feasible to do.
One other thing that I'm cognizant of is drama and fine arts fees have not risen at all in how many years? They haven't risen at all in at least 4 or 5 years that I know of.
Well, we didn't recommend to raise fees. We
No.
said to keep them the same,
Right.
but
Right, but
directed,
you recommended to keep them the same, but now you're saying you want to now look at lowering them.
Well,
no,
the intention of town meeting was for all.
correct. That's my point.
That's why.
But this was not a thought of mine. When I spoke to you, you said go right ahead and use the $30,000 for
Say use
athletics.
it, come back with a recommendation
For
for
the
the
full
30,000.
30,000.
Correct.
Just want that to be understood, that it wasn't,
No one said any different. So,
So
post that,
6:30?
yeah. You think 6:30 or 6 on the 27th?
We should go with 6.
Okay.
Because we love spending.
Yeah,
And the
that's right,
finance
Miss
director,
Meredith.
the superintendent, you'll get those answers. Hopefully, we can get them in advance.
what's the date? of the-
And
It's next Thursday.
Ms.
Right.
Riley, if you could
27th.
get those
27th.
numbers
I will.
just for discussion.
Okay.
6 o'clock.
What is that?
Snow.
Is it still on that side?
Okay.
All right, moving along to
Okay.
food service.
The next one, food service.
Food service update for
again.
subcommittee.
Okay, we met again. Food service, I'm just gonna read it because it's gonna be a lot easier. Ms. Meredith, Ms. Andrews, and myself visited 3 school lunches, the Lyndhurst, the Oakland Vale, and the Belmonte. There were some issues that were brought up and will be addressed as soon as possible. Most importantly, Ms. Andrews will reach out to the principals to make sure that the right procedures are followed when there is any problem. Even though the mandates have been covered many times, there seems to be some that are not aware of the mandate changes. Ms. Andrews has a brochure that was given out at MASBO, which is the Massachusetts Association of School Business Officials, which will be posted on the district webpage for everyone to access, as well as, what's the second one, Ms. Andrews, I'm sorry, the other one that will be posted on the
The
district?
USDA final rule.
Okay, and that one will be on there as well for anyone that needs to look at the mandates. Regarding obligations to be paid on lunch money, the subcommittee felt that the school committee should forward to the policy subcommittee to review the current policy and make a recommendation to the school committee on a more specific policy to collect unpaid lunch obligations, keeping in mind that we cannot violate any civil laws that could be affected. The subcommittee had many ideas and will be working with the superintendent on getting a date for a Food for Fuel taste night, and would like to tie it in with the Wellness Advisory Committee. There's a lot of things talked about, and it was really great ideas to bring them into nutrition and all these good things from all the schools. So when there are more specifics, we will bring them to the full school committee. We had picked a date, but unfortunately, the one we only talked about, there was already something going on that night. So we have to go over the calendar and get a date that is open because it's getting very busy. And that's it for the food service subcommittee update.
Thank you. Making a motion to refer that?
Yes, please. I'm sorry. I'd like to make a motion to refer the policy on, I don't even know what it's called.
School lunch obligation.
School lunch obligations to the policy subcommittee.
The chair will second, and that's for review and to update, is that correct?
Recommendations to update.
Okay.
Mhm.
Just want to know what they're being charged with.
Okay. Sorry.
Okay, and that was second. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously.
Thank you.
I really like the spread they had at the Belmonte.
It was very good there.
Yes. The assortment of food they had.
Oh,
Yeah, it was very good.
I actually ate that too, it was good.
I have a question for the business manager. When do we start figuring out the negotiations for the contract? When does that start?
For which contract? For
Food
Aramark?
service.
March 1st. They're supposed to give us the budget for
March
next
1st.
year.
so is food service subcommittee is meeting with that, or?
Yeah, I'll bring it to food service subcommittee.
Yep, very busy.
Very busy.
We do not have any old business, but we have new business, which is the recommendation on the 265 appropriation, which we did budget entry 6, revised. So do we want to take any other action on this right now? Because the other was the 30, of course, which we've kind of pulled out and put aside for now.
I think I think we all are set on
Wait till the
that.
27th?
Yep.
And we'll
Yeah.
discuss that further, okay?
Mhm.
Capital improvement plan, and as the superintendent mentioned in his report, he did a great job with his administrators getting together and getting this, compiling a list of capital projects that the schools need and could use, and the school committee met on a couple of days, didn't we? Didn't we meet twice
Yeah,
on this?
twice.
Yep. And the vice chair and myself, Ms. Meredith, did go to an interview, if you want to call it that, with the Collins Center, and found that interesting. And we told them that we were in the process of reviewing the superintendent's, I don't know if you want to call him request, but his report, and that we would be forwarding to him as soon as the school committee had some input and blessing. So, that leaves us to the superintendent's, or I should say, the Saugus Public Schools, because what the superintendent had submitted to us. So the projects, I know when the school committee met, we did kind of prioritize some items, and I know I gave that to the superintendent as well. If I can find it, here it is. That one, we wanted to get an update of our master plan by having a facilities assessment and update, including the educational space, so that moving forward with the project, it's a lot easier to prioritize once we have an updated plan. The school committee said that we did support finishing the work at the Belmonte, including the locker replacement, gym floor, new gym bleachers, and floor tiles throughout the building. I think it was backboards also that we had discussed, and other gym amenities that I don't know if that falls under CIP, but the school committee pursuing alternative transportation, possibly purchasing vans and buses, and building projects such as window replacement, heating upgrades, energy efficient lighting, paving parking lots and playground areas. Well, not paving playground area, upgrading playground areas. And I know with the superintendents from, did you want to go over these, or do you want does the committee want to send them off, amend them, or, because the nice gentleman from the Collins Center was eager to have this as soon as possible.
Madam Chair,
Meredith?
do you think we should have one more meeting to finalize that? Tidy up things.
Well, we certainly could. I mean, we're meeting on the 27th. We can
Why
do
don't we
that.
make it 5 o'clock instead of 6 o'clock? You can bring us dinner.
We do have a policy committee meeting at 4.
Oh. You're not going to be done at 5.
Yeah, you should be done by 5.
At least an hour.
We'll bring dinner.
She's
We
kidding.
won't be done at 5.
No?
I think we have to come up with some kind of unified document as opposed to,
Right, then just what we have now,
Yeah.
but we need to meet to do that. So,
Yep, and we have to, kind of to include others, because I like the capital request forms. They're kind of done individually, and I think that, you know. And they could certainly stay individually, I suppose. I'm not exactly sure how this company's going to compile them anyway, if they're gonna be in categories of,
priority.
or the building. You know, are they gonna go with, okay, all the
All of them
roofs
has to-
problem, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
or
doing a
per
roof
school.
project or a school project. So, I'm not sure if it's even better just to
Do you
leave them
know?
individual.
No, I don't know. We just, we got as much together as quickly as we could.
I know, there wasn't a lot of
Specifically
time.
for that reason. We didn't know how they were going to categorize them.
Right.
We were at a loss where we didn't want to leave anything out. So, but particularly in my first correspondence with you, we never felt great that we really only had, 6 or 7 days to get, or less, I think, actually, to get it, so no matter what, just doing that under the gun, we
I don't
probably...
understand why it was put that way, that you had to be so under the gun. I mean, we've waited so long to have a capital improvement plan.
Yeah.
Why not take the time and do it right?
Well, when we met with the gentleman from the Collins Center, he seemed to just want a list of items. And
We had
not-
24 hours to
Yeah.
go through our list. I mean, we were given on the 6th, they wanted it by the 7th.
Not enough time?
No,
No.
not if you want to do it accurately.
It's too important.
It's too rushed,
Yeah,
right.
It's
So, I mean, there might be more development at the other end. Maybe they're just looking for a list of items and then they get in more detail after. I just wish I knew more about how the process was gonna go, because I don't feel comfortable submitting something that's half done.
Or rushed.
Rushed, exactly.
It's very rushed.
So do you
I
wanna
agree with that.
do you want to go through these? Do you wanna meet and do that, or what do you
I
wanna
would
do?
like to do that.
Yeah.
I'd like
Yeah.
us to meet and maybe even meet with some of the school administrators to
Yeah.
see.
We-
So they could
I'm
have
sure
another
they'd love
opportunity to
be at
relook
that
at
table
it.
as well, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, because when they put that list together, they might, you know, for instance, you know, they may be thinking about it at 3 o'clock in the morning when they wake up and say, oh, why didn't I put that on there? That's
Yeah.
more important, you know?
The,
But when you rush, sometimes you miss things.
I think what was most impressed me was how expansive the list was, because it has been years, you know, and there's a lot on there, and if there was a theme, to your point, Madam Chair, of, you know, are we looking for specific buildings to target or not to target versus is it roof? Is it safety infrastructure alone? And that's how we broke down. We started doing our tiers. We started lumping them, you know, in terms of teaching and learning impacts. And we had a very good meeting, but it was, again, it was three hours. Everyone broke up and they got their teams rallied. They put in 3 or 4 hours that way. We came and I made everyone bring hard copy. We had the Google Docs out. We wrote the document right on the fly. But I don't think we could have done it any more thoroughly or you know, efficiently. But there's always that nag at the back of your, you know, like, oh, what did we miss? What did we miss?
So maybe one more opportunity to all come together.
No,
And
it
go
couldn't
through
hurt.
it.
I agree.
So are you suggesting on a different day, or
If we're gonna
on
come
that-
together like that, we definitely need a different day, because we can't do that in an hour. Or less. All right, so the 27th, what time? We're gonna be at 4,
Yeah.
so we're meeting at 6.
So if we're meeting at 6 and 7 on the 27th, we can certainly, about the 26th.
On Wednesday? What is the 26th?
It's next Wednesday.
I know
It's
we
the
have
community meeting at the
co-curricular.
town hall.
Yeah.
Can't do the 26th, the community meeting at the town hall.
What's the community meeting?
For the
The opiate.
opioids.
It's not a good night for myself.
Ms. Meredith, what time is that again, 6:30?
6:30.
We didn't even
Well,
have
dinner's
that.
served at 6:30. The meeting starts at 7.
It's gonna be dinner?
Presentation,
At
dinner.
the town hall?
Yeah.
Might go. I can do Monday night, but not Tuesday.
Can't do Monday.
It's gonna leave us on the 27th. We just make it a long day and stay after the joint meeting, because that really shouldn't go that long. It should only be about an hour.
Okay, so after our regular, well,
Well, we're gonna
I had-
ask the administrators to come.
Oh,
Could we
yeah.
do it even earlier?
So they have.
You have your meeting
subcommittee.
at 4. What's the earliest the administrators could be here, 2:33? Too rushed?
I mean, they're here.
Flippin' day.
They're here during the day, I mean,
Yeah.
anytime during the
It's-
day.
Earlier's,
Okay.
early is better, obviously, you know.
Do you want to just try to do it early?
I don't know how early all of you could be here.
Just move in.
Just quit my job.
Job?
So what did we come to? Earlier on the 27th or after the joint meeting on the
I
27th?
have a couple of conflicts. I know there's a faculty meeting, so that several of us are involved with on the 27th
Oh, that's not good.
at from 3 to 4.
So what about earlier, like 1 o'clock? No, 12:30, no.
Yeah,
Mr. Serena works. And so does Miss Reed.
Well,
I pretend to.
I know the Friday probably isn't any good, so,
Nope.
well,
Going away.
Why not Friday? Well,
Mm-mm.
well, since we already,
Together, the 27th.
I
Yeah.
Did you post your policy, Peter?
just think it probably would be better since we're already here anyway. And,
I can put that out to them too, you know, if they can get here for, what time do you anticipate that being, 7:30 or so?
Well, if we're meeting, the joint meeting's at 7, but we're meeting at 6 regarding fees.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, we could even get it in there.
That might be a mistake. I had the SOI meeting at 6.
Can't do 6 o'clock.
No, I put 7.
Okay.
I have it in
Seven.
I
7.
have
Okay.
it 7 too.
yeah, I had it at 7.
Yep. So, is everyone okay with just having the discussion on Thursday, the 27th?
What about, could we meet with them at 5:30? Could we meet for this at 5:30, say 5:30 to 6:30 and cut it off at 6:30 and then 6:30 to 7, we discuss the user fees? And then we have our meeting, our joint meeting at 7? And if we can't agree on the user fees, well, no, because we want to vote on it at the meeting.
Well, because there's a subcommittee meeting before. So if we meet at 6 and see what we accomplish, we can always stay after the joint meeting. It's posted,
Okay.
so as long as we post it that way.
Would it help if I moved the subcommittee meeting?
Yes, it would.
No, I'm just,
It really would, because then we don't have that time constraint of 4 to 5, right?
What subcommittee?
it's policy
Policy.
subcommittee on Thursday.
Because then maybe we
Is
could
there
meet
anything
at 4.
time sensitive?
Could you do 4?
No, not really.
Could you do 4?
Is there anything before,
I can do 4.
is there any issue pending before policy subcommittee that's time sensitive that you're aware of?
I don't think so. Not that I'm,
I can't think of anything that was, I mean, only because if something new came out that we needed to act on within a time
Yeah,
frame, and that's why I'm
I
asking, because
can't,
I
I
don't
can't think
recall
of
anything
anything
new.
right now. I know,
All right, if
So what-
that's
Move it,
not inconvenienced
No.
at all, we'll schedule it for Thursday earlier, and,
So we're talking 5 o'clock on the 27th?
when's the leadership thing? Early or after?
Yeah,
it's from 3 to 4. From 4 to 5, I have a meeting here explaining kindergarten, and then we could be here at 5.
okay.
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 So we can meet from 5 to...
I just crossed off 7 to 6, now 6 to 5.
5 to 7 we would have. Is that accurate?
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, and if we get done before that, we would take some time to talk about the user fees,
Yeah.
so we don't have to stay after, because that's pretty much...
Yep, 5 PM Thursday. I'll send to the committee and make sure that you have your things. And also, I wanted to make sure it was included in your packet was the old, and this is 2000 to 2016 capital planning. This was our capital plan that was adopted back in 2012. We did not update it, and that's something that the school committee should do at the end of this fiscal year, is to update. These are capital items within the school district. Some of these things, of course, were taken care of, others have not been. So as we talk about that, we don't have to do that right now, but I just wanted on the forefront that we really should update it after this fiscal year. Any other discussion about the CIP?
Nope.
No? Then we come to some good news, which is gifts,
Yes.
to the superintendent to present.
Yes, I have actually 4 gifts. The first gift is from the SBEC, and that is to the Lyndhurst after-school program, MCAS program, and that is for $3,000 to accept that for educational use.
Now, that particular gift, is that a new program that they're doing this year?
No, I think they've done it
Academy?
other years as well. Yeah, I think they did it, well, at least last year, when I spoke to Miss Gallivan about that.
And that's not one of those that the students pay for?
They don't pay for it, no. Okay, do you want me to do all of them at the same time?
Maybe you want to do them all at the same time?
Sure.
All right.
Yeah.
The next one is a Friends of SHS Boys Basketball, $150 for the holiday tournament for an athletic trainer. And I did get clarification about that from, I had a concern about that, in that this was a holiday tournament, and this was not, it was for the trainer to cover some of the other games that were hosted in the tournament. It wasn't, we did budget for our own expenses for our own contest, but because multiple teams came, it's just a customary thing to do particularly for holiday tournaments. So that was $150 for that. And then I also had 2 other ones from Mr. Hashem as well, and these were scholarship donations. It's the first was for the Ernest Sola, the 3rd scholarship, and that donation was for $500. The second is for the Elaine A. Espindle Memorial Scholarship for $125. And those are the 4 that I have for you.
Very nice. Do you have any questions? Do you have a motion?
Madam Chair, I make a motion to accept the gifts. Do I need to list them individually?
Yes, please.
The gift to the Lyndhurst after-school program in the amount of $3,000 from the SBEC. The gift for $150 from the Friends of the Saugus High School Boys Basketball for the holiday tournament, the athletic trainer. And the gift of $500 for the scholarship of Ernest Sola. And the gift of $125 for the scholarship of Elaine Spindle, the memorial scholarship.
And the chair will second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. And of course, the thank yous go out, and the school committee recognize the generosity. Now, this is a new form that we have to sign now for the gift, the SBEC?
Yeah.
Say the date that we accepted it?
Accepted the form or the gift?
Yeah, this is what it says sign here, but it says school committee acceptance date, but it's not for me to sign. I mean, not for the school committee to sign, just the date that we
Approved it?
accepted it.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know the origins of the form or
Yeah, I've never seen this
They're all new
before.
for me this year.
Well, there was some
It says
controversy last year.
Return into received by SPEC date.
Okay.
Received by.
That was a form that one of the principals came up last year because there was some discussion as to how it was going to be handled because it had to be a gift. Before it went directly to the schools. And now it's a gift to the schools to comply with our policy. So that's why they came up with this form, so it's all standardized amongst all the schools.
No. So I don't have to fill in the bottom part.
No.
Can you just pass that down, please, so I don't forget to give that to the
I'll
superintendent?
give it to Donna, and we'll send it hard copy and digitized.
Next on the agenda, we did have the
Thank you.
school calendars. And again, as we had discussed earlier in the superintendent's report, this isn't something we have to decide now, but we're throwing out different options and different ideas. So, I really wasn't, personally, I wasn't prepared to discuss calendars, you know, if for a final decision at this time. I did want to see different options to consider moving forward. So does the committee want to refer this to a future agenda, maybe our March meeting?
I will.
Yeah.
Yes.
You want to make a motion to refer it to the meeting?
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to refer it to another meeting.
Just another meeting. The chair will second. How about the March
After we
meeting?
look into it a little more and maybe possibly put a survey out there to the
Yeah,
parents.
no, I'd like to look at
That's a
one that
good
starts
idea.
before,
Mhm.
the calendar that
Okay.
starts
Survey
before
monkey.
Labor Day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so,
So we'll wait until we get additional information and then place it on a future agenda. Okay.
Yes.
So it's referred to the future agenda. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes.
so you want me to get a draft of a survey with these three? Email that to you within a week or so, and then we'll try to send that out?
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll put it on the next agenda if we
Well,
get
I
the survey out.
think option 3 has to have some discussion before you throw it out there for an option.
Oh,
Which one was
that's
three?
a
The holidays?
good
The
point,
one
but
with the holidays.
I wasn't going to bring that up at the meeting because there's contractual issues attached to that
Right.
that I don't want, I
Okay,
really didn't
So,
want to
are we
discuss at a
just
public
gonna-
meeting.
get rid of 3 altogether and just do 1 and 2.
I was going to have a conversation with the superintendent about that, and he may want to adjust in a different way as a different proposal, so, see other
Well-
options.
Does it need to be the calendar itself, or just to survey the parents as to their thoughts of starting school before Labor Day, adding, I mean,
I'll do whatever you
what would
direct.
be? Because that's only for 1 year, so, you know,
I don't think, no. I really don't care to even look at option number 3 myself after.
That's fine, but we all want to look at different options.
Yeah, why not just put those in there in questions as far as celebrating those holidays off? Putting the, all the,
That's not the
That's
issue.
not the issue. We'll get into,
It gets into contractual issues. I think we just need to have that conversation first, and maybe the superintendent wants to propose something similar but different.
gotcha.
in my opinion, the only, like, the really big question is if people want to just say that summer ends Labor Day weekend, or they don't have a problem with going to, back to school prior to it.
Summer ends August 31st.
Is that in your book?
That's my book.
Okay. I just think that, just listening to some parents, I think that that's what the issue is. Do you stop
Vinnie,
looking
where
at summer
are you
before?
with your motion?
I have
It's
to-
10 o'clock.
I have to tell you that I have always supported starting school after Labor Day. But there are some times where I can be flexible enough that if there's almost a full week
Full
of
week.
school
Yeah, I
before-
agree.
I
I
think it
agree
needs
with
to
that.
look at Right.
I agree
So,
with that, too. We don't
I
need to
would,
start.
Each year.
I would really prefer to have, and I think that, you're right, I think that's what the parents, we need to hear from the community, that
I-
part of it.
Right.
I'd like the earlier suggestion, before or after. Simple survey.
Yeah, simple.
Right.
Yes or
Simple.
no, we see it, we get the pulse, and then we
Right.
go
Yeah.
from
And
there. I
then,
think that's
as
a-
the policy already state, you look at where it falls, and if it's a full week of September, then yes, you look at going back the 31st or the 30th or something.
I'm not going in August,
All right,
don't
sorry,
push
no,
it,
Jen.
don't push it.
I didn't say that.
I can be flexible,
All
but
right.
not that flexible.
Yes, Madam
I
Chair.
can't been so far.
Okay. That sounds good.
August, my goodness. Okay. The fees for preschool and all-day K, is that something that's being referred to the Finance Subcommittee for recommendation?
I thought it was.
Yeah. So do we have a motion to refer that with the report back? I think we're going to need the report back soon, correct? Because we're doing,
Yeah, I thought we
changing the
set for tomorrow.
fees?
Well,
I thought we discussed.
we discussed it,
Yeah.
however, it was not on the agenda, so you could not vote on it.
Oh,
I didn't see it on my agenda.
She brought it up in new business.
Yeah, we-
when is your next meeting?
Not the 27th.
Not the 27th. I can,
Okay, it's getting late, people.
yes, I don't know, I don't have one scheduled as of yet, so I will, do we? No, we don't.
No.
I will make one as soon as possible, okay?
I think
That doesn't-
the registration is the 10th and 11th of March.
Of Mar- okay,
So
we'll get it
I
in.
think we were hoping to mail this tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yeah.
Just to get it out, so.
And you have recommendations for change in fees that you're charging?
We do. I don't have
300.
the change version.
That isn't changed?
No, I think it is changed, but I don't have the original, so I don't know the deltas.
I have it here somewhere.
I remember some of it.
Oh, I used to have it in here somewhere. Guess I don't. Well, you can't put it out without the approval of the change, so what do you want to do?
Well, again, it wasn't on our agenda. We did discuss it, and we did talk amongst the committee members, and everybody was for it. But because it wasn't, as it was under new business, it wasn't on an agenda item. I do know that the subcommittee voted in a sense, but not really,
Okay,
that
the
they were okay.
consensus was.
The consensus was that it would be, I want to say it was $200 or $300. I don't remember what the increase was.
$300.
And we were, everyone was fine with that. It was, there was not an opposition to it because it's so low anyway. So if you want to take the consensus on that from the subcommittee, I believe that that would be fine with the rest of the committee members. Don't you think so, Mr. Sereno?
Yeah, I agree, because it was the lowest of any other district
Right.
anyways.
And I believe it was, the overall tuition before was 2,400,
2,400.
Mm-hmm.
and we're.
After 27.
We wanted to go to 2,700 with the deposit, non-refundable deposit was 200, and then the other payments were even 625.
The subcommittee was fine with that, so I don't know if we need an actual vote from them.
Well, I know that, well, it depends on the school.
Our committee?
Yeah,
Okay.
Depends on us.
Okay.
I prefer to follow process. I prefer, and it was discussed, and you
Right.
did get the figures. And I know, because people
Bless
tell
you.
me all the time, we're lower than,
Correct.
Yeah, we
Any.
did look at
We
that.
did look at it.
Yeah, extremely lower than any
Mhm.
other.
so, due to the timing of this, and just kind of stress, we have to be more timely when we're requesting changes, so that it can go through the process. I don't like making knee-jerk decisions. I'd like to have information before me when I personally am familiar with it, because we kind of beat it to death a couple of years ago when we were talking about what we should be charging. So, and we're still, I think we only raised it once.
So, Madam Chair, if it's okay, I would,
If the committee's comfortable, I expressed that I would be comfortable with it. I don't know. We have new members that may,
Well, he's-
Yeah, I'm comfortable because we've discussed it already in finance.
I know you. left out. You're
No, I'm
not on the
comfortable.
subcommittee and you know.
oh, that's good, I'm good.
Does the sign up for kindergarten, it says all-day kindergarten students may also attend Kids Come First. That's another tuition program. That doesn't give them tuition to that program, right?
That's separate, yes.
Separate. I'm kind of reading that, I see some confusion that somebody might think that they're entitled to go to all-day kindergarten, Kids Come First at the same time, after this is over with. Because in the brochure, it says ADK students may also attend Kids Come First at the Veterans Memorial School.
I think it should say the transportation is provided to.
It does say the transportation is provided, but I can see where somebody could read this thinking if they pay $2,700, they get all-day kindergarten, and then the kid gets to go to,
I understand.
just my reading of it.
So just maybe add
Just a
for an
word.
additional cost
Right,
in that
just to
same
make it
line
crystal
item,
clear.
You see it?
They'd be
Mm.
eligible
can-
to attend.
for an additional cost.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
So it's some confusion. Because you're right, the way that's worded, you may think that if you pay for that, then you.
You can go to both.
So is the committee comfortable with addressing this evening due to the timing?
The
I
increase?
have one other question.
Mr. Grabowski?
If I'm not mistaken, on the page with the fees in there, it says you will, at the end of there, it says you will forfeit your non-refundable deposit. I think there have been situations where that deposit was refunded last year.
Last year it said that we were going to refund, so it was refunded.
So now it's absolutely non-refundable, that deposit. Okay.
How much is the deposit?
$100, I think,
200.
200. Because I know last year we did refund some monies, and I think it said it was non-refundable last year also. I just
That was, that,
like to
It's
be
been
clear
changed.
on that.
Okay, so, do you have any other questions? Do you have a motion?
Madam Chair,
Riley?
make a motion to approve the increase of $300 for the all-day kindergarten program from $2,400 to $2,700.
2,700.
In the preschool?
I don't have it. Preschool?
No, the old.
All-day kindergarten.
That's what I said was all-day kindergarten. Was there preschool?
On the agenda, it says fee for preschool and all-day K. Is there a change in preschool? No?
I don't believe that should have been on there. There will be.
Okay.
Ms. Bridges will present it at the next school committee meeting.
So for all-day K. And the chair will second. Any other discussion?
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. And we'll just check to make sure preschool was taken care of. I know we were looking at those,
I'm sorry?
we were looking at those rates at the preschool at one point. I don't
Increase?
know. Just let us know if that needs. Next on the agenda is posting of new positions. I think we've already discussed this, that any positions or vacancies within the school department will be posted in a prominent area where, of course, any employee or visitors from the public can see. And I know the superintendent's using a couple of different websites, including, of course, the school department website. But besides that, you had mentioned the
School spring.
school spring for that. So is there any other discussion about the postings?
Yeah, I think you made reference to it. I'd like to make sure that the postings are posted in the lobby of this building. I think, is that what you were referring to?
Yeah, in a
'Cause they're
prominent
not,
position.
yeah.
They need to be really in an area where they can be.
Right. Anybody can walk in and see what's posted. It's like
Because,
there was a book at some point in time that was sitting around.
yeah, because there was a lot of papers on the board. I know when the town sends postings over, they used to go on the board over there too, and sometimes theirs are up, but ours are not, and that's a bit strange.
And the other thing I want to make sure that we include is we include all positions, including such as drivers for the vans, the substitute athletic trainer, that have not been posted, but yet people have been filling into those positions.
I think they should be posted, because that way we know they go through the process
Right.
through our Human Resources Department, that they get their query checks and all their pay information that we need for them to work here. So I think
Well,
that's
we brought that up last night with the principal of the high school and the athletic director, and they had no problem with it. Because it's a vetting thing that has to be done, and there has to be a file upstairs, because if in case something ever happens and you go in there and say so-and-so was working, and you go and there's nothing in the file, it's a liability issue that I don't want to have to deal with at some point in time.
right. So we're also setting up other processes as well, as the superintendent was describing, so I think we'll work that all out.
Guarantee.
And the last item on the agenda for this evening is the job fair for Saugus High School.
Yes.
Riley, you giving us an update?
Yes, I'm really pleased to announce that the first annual job fair will be held at the Saugus High School on Wednesday, May 7th, from 12:30 to 2 p.m., where all the students from the high school will go down into the cafeteria and look at businesses, and they're going to learn how to write resumes and get ready for the working world. So if there's any businesses out there that would like to participate, it would be great to get these kids involved, and you would also benefit from our wonderful students at Saugus High. So if you want to contact Leanne Matola, who is the guidance, or just call the guidance office at the Saugus High School, they would appreciate that.
Excellent.
Yeah,
That's
very
That
exciting.
is really good news. Is there any other business this evening?
I have two things.
Mr. Bravo?
This is, I'm going to pass out copies of a letter from March that was sent to NEASC by superintendents and principals in about 7 or 8 school districts in the area. And I would ask that it go on the agenda for possible inclusion with us for the next school meeting.
Okay. Do you want to make a motion to put it on next agenda, or do
Sure.
you
Yeah. Make a motion to put the
place on next agenda?
letter to NEASC concerning concerns, and it's really well-written. I'm glad that somebody took the effort to deal with this last year, and I think it behooves us to look at jumping on the situation and adding more school districts to the questions and the problems they're having with NEASC. I'll give that to the superintendent,
So
actually.
I'll second that motion. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we'll have that on
And just
next.
one thing, everybody got a invitation today for the Unsung Hero Awards by the SBEC, which is Tuesday, March 18th. Arrivals at 6, dinner at 6:15. Unfortunately, it's not open to the public. There's only a certain amount of seatings, so it's pretty much by invitation only. But it's a great event, and it's Tuesday, March 18th at Prince at 6:15.
Is there any other business this evening?
Yeah, just quick, I'd like to congratulate the boys' high school basketball team for making the tournament. Joe Bertrand for scoring 1,000 points. the Saugus High cheerleaders for making it to regional, and Norma Waggett from the girls' basketball team for also scoring 1,000 points. I think it's a great achievement. We got 2 basketball players in the same year scoring 1,000 points.
Here's something. Thank you. Is there anything else this evening?
I'd like to congratulate Jonathan McTagg and the class of 2014 for all their hard work, and they're doing wonderful things with the Make-A-Wish Foundation, and they've already made more than half their goal.
Really?
So
That's great.
he'll be at our next meeting. He had to work tonight, so he can update us all, but they're doing great things.
Excellent. We have all kinds of great things going on.
Yes, we do.
Is there any other business? Mrs.
Madam Chair, I make a motion, we adjourn.
Chair seconds. All in favor? Aye. Meeting adjourned. Thank you.